In this episode, we are going to review President Ruto's trip to the mountain. President Ruto's trip to the mountain, which can be called Ruto Kakwea Mrima. The best description of that is what Mapolomoko Mado drew in the latest edition of Mad World. He drew Ruto laughing, and with him was an anthill inside a canvas paper. The Murima was assumed to be too big and too slippery for Ruto, but he effortlessly conquered it. What lessons do we get from here? First, we get a lesson that it is too great a deal that we were forthcoming, but it proved to be an anticlimax. We expected a lot of firepower there, but there was no firepower. So I think Paul Kelemba, when he drew a small anthill which has been locked in canvas, and Ruto is laughing all the way, it meant that way. That we had assumed Mlima to be too big and too steep for Ruto to do that, only for Ruto to come and pick it as if it is an anthill. First and foremost, I was against it, and I still am against it. Especially for a person like Ruto, who forgets what he said and promised. Immediately he hands over the microphone. I have the impression I've ever had of Ruto, that is my personal interpretation, is that some things that Ruto talks is when he gets a microphone, ideas come to him and he just says them. When he says them, it is just meant to maybe for, he does not know about social media. He does not know that the world has become a global village. He's not aware of that. He thinks that when he talks to a church here, everything ends there and everybody goes home happy, not knowing that when you promise somebody something and you forget, Waswahili wanasema ahadi ni deni. He forgets it. He takes it as part of what was talked there. That is what I want to compare Ruto to the late Samuel Kivyutu. Samuel Kivyutu, I've worked under him. I've worked under him when he was a commissioner of the Electoral Commission. I have worked under him when Samuel Kivyutu was the vice chair of the Electoral Commission. And I've worked under him when he was the chair of the Electoral Commission. Kivyutu has this characteristic of light talks, things to lighten up the place, things which are just meant to pass time, to make people happy and whatever. And once the things are gone, he sees that time has gone. But what Kivyutu died without knowing is that some certain positions, you are not supposed to make certain comments, or certain comments. You are not supposed to make certain comments at that time. So when some of the things that haunted him to his death are things that he never really meant it seriously, just to pass time. For example, he would say, some returning officers are delaying in coming. We don't know why they are delaying. Maybe they are cooking up figures. That was just a small joke for that. But you see, later on the country burned. And for a person of his position, saying that, it carried a lot of weight. He was asked if he is very certain that Kibaki won, he said, I don't know, I don't know. He repeated it twice, I don't know, I don't know. But you see, he's a lawyer. He should have said that it is not up to me to decide whether Kibaki won or not. It is for those papers from 16A and 16B that have got to come to me. And then I'm not the one who counted the Nini. So I only rely on the papers that. Then he said, I don't know, I don't know. So it was taken that he meant that he announced a result that he did not know. Another thing he said, which was to me was a bit careless, was that I went. The only reason why he announced the election was that if he would not have done so, somebody else would have done that. But you see, he's a lawyer. He was a lawyer. He's supposed to have had facts on his fingertips. But knowing that it is only him, as the national returning officer, who can announce the results. Nobody else. But then he said, if I don't announce, somebody else will come and agree. Then he says, I went to State House and then found the Chief Justice ready to swear in the president. Those are some of the things which most likely contributed to what happened. Now, comparing that one to President William Samoei Ruto, I'd also add, when I had Muturi saying that the Ruto you see on TV and whatever is not the Ruto who is behind there. That one I can agree with Muturi. Ruto can say something. For example, HELB, Higher Education Loan Board. He goes, meets students and whatever, people who are associated with students, and he tells them, those who are from orphans and whatever, they'll pay nothing, they'll get full sponsorship. And then he goes, that one is his, okay. Let me put Muturi's perspective on this side. When you say something in public and you change it, go back to public and tell people what you have seen. So when Muturi said that the Ruto you see out there in the public addressing people is not the Ruto that is in the office working. I don't know whether he meant what I'm meaning, but this is what I mean. The Ruto you see in public meetings is not the Ruto who is in his office. He's a different person. He goes to a meeting, he tells you, we are going to set a certain amount for this and that. He says that whatever. You clap, you go. He goes to his office. People tell him, President, you are every time Ruto talks, he promises. He says billions have been set aside to do this and that. And when he goes to the office, the reality is brought up to him. Because Kenya, like any other country, even those welfare states, the so-called welfare states, even in welfare states, there is a budget. You are supposed to live within a budget. Even if you live within that budget, something an emergency like we have in Burma, it's called Myanmar. We have had a case where there is an earthquake. You can go and rebuild those houses. You can go and treat those people. Treating those people means medicine and whatever. These are unplanned things that the government can set aside funds. But you see, when you say we are building a road here, we are doing this, we are building a market here, those building those houses and whatever, or students are being placed in a band where someone who is a total orphan will pay nothing. If at all this can reach the president, I would tell him he's doing a lot of disfavor to orphans and children from less privileged society. Because of his tumefanya yes, tumefanya yes, tumefanya yes, tumefanya yes, tumefanya yes, tumefanya. Because he likes saying tumefanya hivi. Some of those tumefanyas are impracticable. But you see how those impracticable things affect children. Okay, I'm now talking of one aspect. I'm talking of aspects of help. Children who are orphan, children from very poor homes. Previously, they would call an arambe. They would make an arrangement for students to be, I mean, the whole clan comes up and makes an arambe for the orphan or for the children from a poor family, such and such a thing. But when the president says that we have placed there 4 bands, such that children from vulnerable whatever, or children from who are orphans can get full sponsorship. What the president should know, and it is good for a person like me who is perceived to be a pro-Ruto to tell him that you are doing disservice to the people you are talking about. You are doing disservice to the orphans. You are doing disservice to children from poor families. Why don't you just say every student pays everything, so that in the villages there, people know that this is a bright child who is an orphan or from a poor background, and then the clan sits down and does an arambe. Now, when you talk publicly that the student from orphan and vulnerable families will get full sponsorship, people will not contribute. And if you call people to contribute, they think that you are conning them. They think that you are conning them. So anything you say in public and you go to the office, I'm repeating the word public, public, public. Anything that you say in public, and then you go to the office and discover that it is impracticable, go back and imagine. Why tell people that you have placed there 4 bands, and then you go to anniversary, you send a letter to anniversary to us and say that one is not practicable. We have placed, you place all the students in band 5. A new band comes in and you place all the students there. The students cannot go. The students cannot go to an arambe. They cannot whatever. You have created problems for them. So that is why, and then you have a department, a very effective department that is called PDU, Presidential Delivery Unit. When I was working for the intelligence, NIS, we had so many. Actually, I remember when I was in Mandera. When I was in Mandera, there are things more you would just talk in public and forget and go. Presidential Delivery Unit, or whatever it was called at that time, would sit down and put then the president talks something, it is law. That is what we call, what do you call? Nani likes using them, Trump. It's called executive order. Yeah, it is an executive order. Please, please, please do that. I also say that the president needs to be rare on TV, rare on public things. That is why I said during Jomo Kenyatta's time before he became senile, whenever he used to talk on TV, people would keep quiet and follow what he is saying, because he opens his mouth, he's talking a lot of sense. Please don't be, and again, this is my personal opinion. You don't have competition. Competition is Raila. Hmm? Use the what do you call, the NIS to tell you if Raila is going to contest the next election, or if Raila is just befriending you, so that it reaches a last moment, either he stands or he supports somebody wholeheartedly. Remember, Matiang'i is being sponsored by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. If Matiang'i is sponsored by Raila, Ruto is in hot soup. Just monitor that. In other things, just be president in the office. Kibaki used to be very rare in public domains. So I say two things happened for him, or two things happened to Ruto during this trip. People did not shout him down. He did not say something such as something that would attract, you know, e- every trip he goes, he talks something that people in the social media pick up, and it becomes like that one. Si barabara itatoka Mandera, sitapita Ramu, ikitoka Ramu sitafika Elwake. Si, he didn't talk anything. This time there was, I noticed a reduction in something that can be quoted. He did not, first of all, people did not shout him down the way they did. Actually, there is a place or two he passed where he had been shouted down before. But this time they respected him and they did not shout at him. And then he did not say something outlandish like chapati, mashine ya chapati ya pika chapati 1,000,000 kwa siku. He did not even talk something outlandish as sitatoka Mandera, sitapita Ramu, sitapita Elwak, sitapita Tarbach, sitapita Kotulo, sitapita Wajia, sitapita nini Blagabogol, sitapita Habaswein, sitapita Modogashe, sitapita Kulamawe. He did not talk such things this time. So he, then there is also a message. There is also a message in that he should refrain from such topics that he has a he has a privilege of having. I think he has the number of advisors that he has uh, is can even be equal to the number of advisors all the other 4 presidents had. So he has a lot of advisors who can, and we have people who are good in messaging. There is those people who are good in messaging, so that he avoids in future things that people in the internet will pick up and start mocking him. Uh, there there is also a message that I got. You see, the people in the mountain did not jeer him. They did not jeer him. They gave him a lot of respect. That one could indicate maybe, you see, people like Gachagua and Muturi. They don't have a war chest. They don't have a pass, things and whatever. So and as time goes on, they become like today. Maybe what the amount that Gachagua can use in mobilization of people may not be equivalent to what he may have used, let's say, 6 months ago. And Muturi, in the next 6 months, he will lack finance and topics to say after 6 months. So there is that element of the people who are going against him are going down. You know, it does not mean that when you are going up is because you are popular. No, at times it is just like Pastor Ezekiel told Ruto one time. Pastor Ezekiel of Mavueni told Ruto that you did not win the election. It is the other fellow who lost. You did not win the election. It is the other fellow who lost. So sometimes when you get something, it is not that you have won. It is the other person who has lost. So I would say that if you see Ruto becoming more popular in Murima, it means that those people in Murima are getting tired of people like Gachagua. Nani has not picked up well Muturi, so we don't know whether Muturi will pick up. We don't know whether Muturi, because he was asked if he will join together with whether he'll join hands with the Gachagua. He said, "Oh, currently we have not." So means so when there is that lull because of the facts that I've given, they may also contribute. They may also contribute to the well reception. No? But all that, I always say that a human being is a communicating animal. You may see that the people who are pro Ruto in the Mlima were being jeered. They were being jeered. I think instead of Ruto organizing another trip, another place again to campaign, and it is a midterm, I think he should sit down with his close advisors without Kinaishungwas. He would sit down with them, uh, people who can tell him to his face facts. They should even tell him why people like Ishungwa were shouted down. Are Ishungwas being shouted down because of what happened to Didi Nyoro? Are they being shouted down because they have become unpopular? But most important, are the Murima people diplomatic, and instead of showing their ire to the president, they are showing it to the proxy. So you should look at those three things. Is it that they are being jeered because of what happened to Didi Nyoro? Or is it that they being jeered because they have become unpopular? Or is it, are they being jeered because they are receiving it on behalf of Ruto? It is also good to, 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 to to really look at that. Don't sit with them, with the Kina Ichung'wa, but sit with the people who can challenge you and give you whatever. Because it would be very unfair for Ichung'wa to be crucified because he is near you. But I know politician can always, if it is convenient to his political, what do you call political future, a politician would not mind throwing you away. It was also unfair, unwise for him to insinuate about the 2027 elections. When he was saying that mimi nimefanya kazi yangu, nyinyi ndio mtasahihisha hiyo, it is something that was unnecessary. Every coin has two sides. How does the way the president was received reflect upon people against him? People like Rigathi Gachagua and Muturi. Muturi said he has no contact with Rigathi yet, meaning that he does not rule out the possibility that in future he may side with Rigathi. In this world, one means the president's reception means that he was tidying up. He was tidying up his opponents and vice versa. So what I'm trying to say is that his reception, people are trying to evaluate him against his opponents. And in this world, one man's loss is another man's gain. So we have to look at it when we look at the mountain. Is the gain by the president a loss by Gachagua? Or is it that somebody said that the people in Murima are not people like, I don't want to mention the place, where if they don't agree with you, they disregard your position and may even throw stone. One thing you will notice in Murima is that it has several leaders who cannot stand each other. And if I were to be Ruto's advisor, I would really take a lot of time looking at that. Uhuru can work with the Muturi, but Uhuru cannot work with Rigathi. Muturi can work with Rigathi, but what impact will it be? Okay, Rigathi and Muturi, supposing they join together, as Muturi had said that they have not joined hands yet. Suppose they joined, would they really have an effect? This means that Murima cannot stand united. It can go the Mulembe way. I'm seeing it is quite possible that Murima will go the Mulembe way, whereby even those people who are cheating that Wamalwa Kijana united the Luya nation, no, there is no time Luya nation has spoken with one voice. And Murima, apart from 1992, when they had two strong presidential candidates, that is Kibaki and Matiba. Murima has always voted in one direction. Now, if they have, as I said, Uhuru cannot stand Rigathi. Uhuru reaches a place where, even though he's a politician, Uhuru can reach a place where when you differ till death put you together. Why do I say till death put you together? Because if Uhuru and those people die today on the same day, they'll all end up in Lee funeral home. So death will have put them together. But in marriage, they say that till death to put you aside. But Uhuru, he reaches a place you differ, especially, and people know that, especially if you have happened to mention his mother in the negative way. So it's quite really hard for Uhuru. I said it's quite really hard. I didn't say it is impossible. It's quite really hard for Uhuru to reconcile with Rigathi. And you see, Uhuru, he's very powerful in the Murima. So being very powerful in Murima, he'll donate a lot of votes in Murima to Matiang'i. Gachagua, we don't know whether his impeachment will be set aside, but they can never work out together. And then we have Muturi, he's coming in his other direction. And Professor Kindiki, he's handful. His handful votes. I can tell you without fear of contradiction that Kindiki has the least has the least things he can place in the bucket. So, but even if every vote counts, every vote counts. So even Kindiki with his handful votes, he will take a few people in this direction. For the sake of figuratively, let's say Kindiki has 5%, so Murima will remain with 35. Let us take Rigathi Gachagua has 25, so Murima will take another direction, 30%. Uhuru has, let's say 50, that is 80. So you find that way, and it will be, so you find that Uhuru will take a large chunk, that one we agree, of Murima. Another large chunk, but not as that large as maybe if Uhuru has 50, and then a certain chunk of Rigathi, let's say 25, it goes to 75. Nani 80, Kindiki 20%. They can be swayed by the politics and policies of people. So you find that Murima for once will be fragmented like a Toto is back, the way Mlembe nation has done. I think that is where we are headed, and I think future presidential candidate will not take Murima seriously unless it is just to block the other one, anybody from taking all the Murima votes singularly. But then if I see it properly, I think Luo Nyanza is still united. As of now, Luo Nyanza can have a singular direction. Kalenjins, yes, they still have that. Kambas, yes. Kisses, yes. But you see, people like Kamba and Kisses, those are small tribes. So even if they are united, um, theirs will be just to adapt to what is happening. And that is why we may find it a bit of a challenge to have people from those tribes to be president, because they'll always be told, what have you brought in the table? But all is not lost. If you come from a small tribe, there reaches a time when two giants don't agree, and then they look for a compromise person to go in between. That is when people like Wakambas and Kisses can pitia katikati. Thank you and let's meet again.